Hey there, welcome to Startup Screen Printing. My name is Jesse. Today I want to do something a little different for you guys. This is actually going to be two videos. One, I'm going to go through just coating a screen, my process, a little bit about scoop coaters. If you haven't used one, if you're just getting started, so I want to just show you my process for coating a screen. But the other part of this video kind of encompasses that in a larger video. So what I want to do is I want to cover the fact that I don't have a dark room. And now I've showed you guys how I burn a screen and the fact that I don't have a darkroom down here, but I still turned off the lights and I turned on my safe light above here and the one behind my wash bay. But I want to show you guys what it's like if I leave the lights on. I want to just do a test. So I'm going to coat a screen and I'm going to leave the lights on and we're going to coat it and then I'm going to let it dry and then I'll come back the next day and I'm going to burn that screen and I'm going to see if these lights affected the emulsion during the process and see if I really do need to turn the lights off when I'm coating. Now, I don't always turn the lights off when I'm exposing. Emulsion can be different as far as its sensitivity to light when it's wet versus when it's dry. So sometimes, oftentimes I've heard that when it's wet, it actually is not as sensitive as it is when it's dry. So my assumption is, my guess is that it's not going to affect it here because I have my screens in a rack over here that's just covered by a sheet, like a table cover. And so it's not light safe at all. I mean, it's navy blue, but it's not blocking out light by any means. And I have these lights on here in the basement, I mean, just about every day and sometimes all day. So, because we're just up and down for other various reasons throughout the day. So I have the lights on here all the time, and I've never had an issue with the lights affecting this emulsion, with these lights affecting the emulsion. These are LED lights that I have down here, and they are daylight as far as the lumens. I don't know what the exact count is. I will look that up and put it in the description. But I thought it would be cool to test this out. So I'm going to test it out as to whether I can coat screens with the lights on. I normally do it at night, but I've got this window back here behind me, you see. I have tint film on all of my windows. I have 3 windows down here in the basement, and you can see it's broad daylight. It's the middle of the day right now, and I actually have that window cracked slightly because I have a water hose. You can see the hose. Where's my finger here? You can see this hose running up to the faucet outside, and that hose comes down, and you can follow it here all the way over to my wash bay over here. So I'm looking at the screen, not looking at you guys. So I've got the window cracked here slightly, and but I do have window tint. It's like 98% UV blocking. I think I got it off Amazon, super cheap stuff. And I put it on these windows, and it's worked great for me. So without continuing to talk here, let's give this a try. So let's first go over and talk about scoop coaters and coating a screen, and then we'll actually let it dry, and I'll come back in a second part of the video and we'll expose it and see how it works. We're back for the second half of this video. In the first half, you saw me coat the screen out here in the open with the lights on. I normally turn them off and turn on the light safe, although my theory has always been, and I've never had any issues because, this is not necessarily light safe under here. My theory has been that these lights don't really affect my emulsion, and I've never had them affect it in the past, and I even left a screen out in the open with the lights on to test it, and it worked out. So what I've not tested up until this point with this video is actually coating the screen out in the open with the lights on, and then also doing the exposure and everything. So we're just going for a full test here, as I've already explained. So second half, let's pull the screen out. I've got a design here. This is obviously not something I'm doing for a customer because this is, Major League Baseball. I'm an Atlanta Braves fan. I like to print my own Braves apparel. I wouldn't be able to sell this because I'm not licensed, but I can do it for myself because I know how to. So we're going to burn this on this screen. I'm going to use this as a test because honestly, we don't know if it's going to work out. So I'm not burning any customer artwork on this. So let's pull the screen out and we'll see how it works. All right, so we've got it here. Everything looks good. Let's put some tape on our film. And I'm going to use my alignment board here. And I'm just going to line this up with my registration marks and my center line to make this a chest print. Now doesn't really matter, but let's do this. All right, I'm gonna take this over to the exposure unit and I'm gonna expose it for about 25 to 30 seconds, and then we'll come back and wash it out. All right, got that exposed. So now let's wash it out and see what we got. I'll do the inkwell side first. Just give it a good soak. Flip it over. Let that sit for a few minutes. Obviously, we can see the design coming through. Looks like we're going to be in good shape. All right, well, unfortunately, the recording messed up when I was finishing this up, but as you can see, it sprayed out great. I mean, I'm left with a nice, clean stencil. I mean, I don't have any rough edges. Everything is nice and crisp. None of the emulsion around blew out. So, I mean, I would say that was a success. Now, normally I would go set this out in the sun for 5 or 10 minutes to dry and to post-harden. But it's currently 37 degrees, so, and it's windy, so some of this would ice up. So I'm just gonna set it back in my screen rack here and just to let it dry, and then on a warmer day, I will either set it out in the sun for a few more minutes, or I could set it back in the exposure unit and, you know, put the time on a few minutes, you know, 3 to 5 minutes, and post-harden the emulsion then. And so that's just gonna help that emulsion last while I'm printing water-based inks. It's a really good practice. It's something I've done since the beginning. Even though this ink or this emulsion is made for water-based printing, it does tend to break down if you don't do that post-harden. That really helps. At least I found that it helps for me. So be sure you do the post-hardening. All right, the reason I wanted to test that out is obviously for my own purposes. I wanted to see if I really need to be as concerned with the light as I feared I might be. But I wanted to talk about a bigger lesson here. And this is something that I've approached all of my screen printing with this mindset, because I had great advice from the beginning that I told you about earlier. Everything that anybody tells you that is a hard and fast law of screen printing, challenge it. Just find out for yourself, because you may be in a different environment, you may have a different process, and it may work out for you. Now, I've seen video after video, and years before I was ever even watching videos on YouTube about screen printing, or when I was first, getting into screen printing, when I started working at that job in 2012, I was told over and over, you gotta have a light-safe dark room. It's gotta be dialed in. You can't let any light be getting into that dark room. And then, especially with this particular emulsion, this base layer complete, it's presented as if you have to be super careful and super dialed in with your darkroom to make sure that this emulsion doesn't harden before you can actually expose it, and that you don't ruin it. And rather than just hearing that and knowing my limitations here at home, that since I don't have a shop, I don't have a professional darkroom, I don't have the luxury of having something like that. I have what I have here, and especially with this being a rental house, I have what I have. I can't change that. So I heard that and thought, well, that sucks, but what if, what if it works? So I tried it, and I tried it very early on, and I've been doing it ever since. And when the emulsion was cryo coat, and now that it's base layer complete, and it works just fine. I've not had any issues where my emulsion has been difficult to expose. And I've not worried too much about how much light is leaking in, or whether I'm leaving these lights on too long, or I'm covering up the screens whenever they're drying or anything like that. So I just want to encourage you that when somebody tells you that it can't be done, that you try it for yourself. Now, there are some things, of course, that it just doesn't work. But try it. You never know. Try it. So that's what I've done here, and as you can see, it's worked out. We just coated a screen with all the lights on here in no rush, letting that get into the bucket and into the wet emulsion, and then we took that screen out. It's been drying at the bottom of that rack where lots of light is leaking in every day, and I coated this a few days ago, so the rest of this video is a few days after the first part. And then we took it out in the light, again, in no rush, exposed it for 29, 30 seconds, I believe it was, came back over here, rinsed it, or got it wet, actually let it sit wet for another 2 or 3 minutes beyond what I normally would. I normally about 30 seconds to a minute, because then it begins to dry up. And then washed it out. And unfortunately, you didn't get to see that part because the recording messed up, but what you saw was left with a nice crisp screen. So don't let anybody tell you, especially if you're just getting started. Don't watch, these pros that are doing it in finely tuned areas and doing it, in areas that are designed to do this process. Don't let them tell you, or don't assume that just because that's the setup they have, that you have to have that too. Now, the caveat to all of this is, if you have the luxury of having a nice dark room, should you? Yes, you should. You should have a climate-controlled, humidity-controlled, light-safe dark room. Or even if it's not light-safe, have lights that don't affect your emulsion. But you should have climate-controlled, dust-controlled, and humidity-controlled if you have that luxury. It will make your life easier. But does that mean that if you don't have that, you can't do it? No, you can. I have, and I do it all the time. And I just want to encourage you that no matter the setup you have, no matter the room you're in or what you have available to you, this stuff is possible. And you can do it, and you can do it at a professional level to where you are getting paid to do it. And you're doing it for people who are paying you for the end product, and you can make a career out of this. This can become your full-time career and either replace your day job or be a supplement to your day job or be the day job you haven't had yet. Wherever you're at in your life and your career, this can be that. But just be willing to face the problems when they come up, because they will come up, but be willing to try the things that people tell you can't be done. And I think this expands well beyond screen printing, but we're talking about screen printing in these videos, so don't let anything stop you from trying. And if you try it and it doesn't work out, then that's great. You know for sure then it doesn't work for you, and it's time to do it a different way. But just give it a try. So that's it in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I learned a lot about what I have available to me here and what I need to be concerned about, and I hope you learned something too, and I hope I encouraged you to just go out and try it for yourself. Be willing to try the things that people say can't be done, and people say, should be done a different way. Try it your way and see if it works out. They might be right, but they might be wrong. They might be right for them, and they might be wrong for you, and that's okay. I might be wrong for you, but I'm right for me, and so I wanted to share it with you. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you've tried. Let me know what other concerns you might have with your darkroom setup and with your emulsion and things like that. So until then, check me out on all the social channels, or, well, not really, just YouTube and Instagram. I don't want to be on all of them. I don't have time for that. But go to the website, be sure to connect with me there. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a great day.